6:15. This is a Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The President convenes a pivotal meeting with the leaders of accepted political parties to discuss the proposals put forth by the IMF. 200 million rupees has been allocated for the road development activities in the Navalapitiya area. Minister of Power says that they were able to minimize many problems due to generating electricity with hydropower. Final rites of veteran actress, journalist and former radio news presenter Ramya Vanigasekara will be held tomorrow. In news overseas, Canada to resume funding for UN agency for Palestinian refugees. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has convened a pivotal meeting with the leaders of the accepted political parties to discuss the proposals put forth by the International Monetary Fund with its high-level delegation. The meeting is scheduled to be held at the Presidential Secretariat on Monday, with an open invitation extended to interested individuals to join alongside the invited leaders. The initiative stems from a recent request made by Samagi Janabalawege MP Dr. Harsha De Silva in the Parliament, prompting the President to extend a warm invitation to all recognized opposition parties to collaborate with the government in navigating the challenges posed by the IMF program. President Wickremesinghe underscores the critical importance of successfully advancing the IMF program for the country's reconstruction. To this end, he emphasizes the necessity of collective accountability from all political parties involved. Minister Dr. Bandala Gunawardena says that 200 million rupees has been allocated for road development activities in the Navalapitiya area. He also stated that the Mahindawade laboratory facilities have been provided to this area when he was the Minister of Education. New bridge which was constructed at the Navalapitiya area was opened by the minister. He said that the President has given 450,000 rupees to implement this project. Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara says that many problems were addressed by generating electricity using hydropower. As a result, 270 billion rupees loss incurred in the year 2022 was recovered. But the main cause to reduce the electricity bill was the appreciation of the rupee and the economic stability of the country. The minister reiterated that the CM Ladwe electricity generation project will be added to the national grid by the end of next year. Opportunities have been made for foreign investors to commence 1,000 wind and solar power projects centered in the Mannar area. Tenders have been called to establish 50 megawatts wind power plant, and the relevant advertisement will be published next week. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
At People's Bank, we empower your pride. People's Bank, pride of the nation.
And we continue with more local news. Final rites of veteran actress, journalist and former radio news presenter Ramya Vanigasekara will be held tomorrow. She was 73 years old at the time of her demise. She made her debut stage drama appearance in 1976 with a minor role in the stage drama Hasiraja Mahathya, and she had a breakthrough role in the 1978 stage drama Manarajana Vedavarjana. She also acted in many other stage dramas including Kalanipalama, Ahasin Vetinu Minissu, Jela Unnahe, Rajakatava, Muhuduputtu and Sirisangabo. In 1980, Ms. Vanigasekara began her career as a radio host with Radio Ceylon and was a regular news anchor until her retirement in the year 2006. She later joined Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation as a relief newscaster. The body will be brought to SLBC at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Final rites will be held tomorrow at the Borella Cemetery. To celebrate the spirit of women on International Women's Day, Shangri-La Colombo, in collaboration with the entrepreneur, hosted the immensely impactful Powerful Women event at Shangri-La Colombo yesterday. The successful event showcased a distinguished panel of accomplished women leaders who shared insights, experiences, and vision for empowering women and fostering inclusivity. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The President convenes a pivotal meeting with the leaders of accepted political parties to discuss the proposals put forth by the IMF. 200 million rupees has been allocated for the road development activities in the Navalapitiya area. Minister of Power says that they were able to minimize many problems due to generating electricity with hydropower. Final rights of veteran actress, journalist and former radio news presenter Ramya Vanigasekara will be held tomorrow. And that was the local news.
Right decisions with noble intentions bring pride to you and the nation. At People's Bank, we empower your pride. People's Bank, pride of the nation.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that measures have been taken to provide coconuts needed for the forthcoming festive season. Necessary advice have been given to the coconut cultivators. It is not practical to implement a control price for coconuts. He also stated that no shortage for coconut will arise in the country as a result of permitting to import coconut oil. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
And we watched like this evening, Sri Lanka Railways has announced that trains operations in a section of the coastal line spanning from Colombo Fort to Valavatta railway station may be restricted due to essential maintenance activities. The Department of Railways has informed that train services will be limited to a single track from the 9th, 10th and 11th of this month. The decision to restrict train operations comes as a result of essential maintenance work on a bridge situated between the Kollipitia and Slave Island railway stations, alongside the pipelaying activities conducted by the National Water Supply and Drainage Board. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. Canada to resume funding for UN agency for Palestinian refugees. Gaza aid ship expected to set sail from Cyprus. US lawmakers vote to avert government shutdown. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. Canada has announced that it will resume aid payments to UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, following a probe that found some members were involved in the 7th October attack against Israel. Canada was one of the 16 countries to hold future funds after Israel presented evidence of violence by UNRWA staff. The Canadian statement said the funding would resume while investigations into the staff members continue. Canada is the 11th largest contributor to the UNRWA budget, 2022 data shows. The decision to resume funding was announced in a statement on Friday by Canada's Minister of International Development, Ahmed Hussein. A ship carrying desperately needed humanitarian aid is expected to set sail this weekend bound for Gaza. The Spanish vessel Open Arms is scheduled to depart from Cyprus, the closest EU country to Gaza, and hopes to use the newly opened shipping route. With no functioning port and shallow waters, it is still unclear where the ship will dock when it reaches Gaza. The UN says a quarter of the strip's population is on the brink of famine and children are starving to death. The ship is expected to reach Gaza in the next few days, belongs to the Spanish charity of the same name, Open Arms. U.S. lawmakers have passed a government spending package shortly before a midnight deadline, averting a partial government shutdown. The Senate passed 6 bills totaling to $459 billion, which funds nearly 30% of the government. It faced opposition, however, from some Republicans who argued the measures did not do enough to cut federal spending. Republicans also wanted the bills to include stronger measures to address immigration in the southern border. And that was the world news.
Development news.
Nellore Pradesh Sabha says that more infrastructure facilities have been deployed in the Nellore area in the Galle district. Several roads in the area have been completed and developed. That came to you in the segment of Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
The third T20 match between visiting Sri Lanka and the Bangladeshi team is currently being played in Sile. Bangladesh team won the toss and decided to field. Batting first, Sri Lanka scored 174 runs for the loss of 7 wickets at the end of their 20 overs. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In a groundbreaking move, Tile Limited, the rapidly growing industrial solid tire company based in Sri Lanka, has redefined the standards of environmental responsibility by becoming the world's first carbon-neutral industrial tire manufacturing company. This incredible milestone, certified by Sri Lanka Climate Fund under the Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka, highlights a tire's commitment to pioneering sustainable industrial practices. That was the business news. Economic news follows. And we move on to economic news. The Inland Revenue Department yesterday said it is paying close attention to high-wealth individuals in a bid to increase taxes due. IRD said the move is to ensure tax compliances of highly wealthy individuals in the country as a part of efforts to restore fairness and confidence in Sri Lanka's tax administration. For this purpose, a high-wealth individuals unit has been established at the IRD, which is located in the large taxpayers' office. That is economic news, and the weather report to conclude.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න. ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න. youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream. Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Ratnapura, Kalathara, Gaul and Mathura districts in the evening or night. Mainly dry weather will prevail elsewhere in the other parts of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts during the morning hours. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President convenes a pivotal meeting with the leaders of accepted political parties to discuss the proposals put forth by the IMF. 200 billion rupees has been allocated for the road development activities in the Navalapitiya area. Minister of Power says that they were able to minimize many problems due to generating electricity with hydropower. Final rites of the veteran actress, journalist and former radio news presenter Ramya Manigasekara will be held tomorrow. In news overseas, Canada to resume funding for a UN agency for Palestinian refugees. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. Now it's back to your regular Saturday evening host, my good friend Shantima, on the other side of the glass panel.